What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 90 of The Road to Glory, and I bet you guys weren't expecting to see an episode of this so soon. So yeah, obviously a few days ago, or it might even be yesterday, I don't know when I'm going to upload this, I did a video about how I really wasn't sure about this save, and to be honest, you guys are absolutely amazing about it. I got some really good words of encouragement, people were throwing out suggestions, people were wanting me to continue with the save, which I completely understand, so I kind of said to myself, you know what, we're going to just plough through this, you know. I even said in the video myself, sometimes you just have to plough through a phase like this on FM and just see if you can come out of it the other side better. So that's exactly what we're going to try and do. You'll notice it's the 2nd of September. The reason for that being is I was doing a lot of transfer dealings, as you'll see very shortly. And so a lot of them didn't go through until the transfer deadline day, and for that reason I decided to hold off doing the first episode of the series until I had the squad completely rebuilt, and also with it being episode 90 it gives me a chance for you to see kind of the revamped squad as a whole, new tactics, new everything, and also the first few games played so you can see how it's working out for us. So yeah, just a quick other thing as well before I show up these transfers. There is a lot of ins and outs, just a quick warning. And another quick thing also is, if you don't already, follow me on Twitter, because when I was playing through the transfer window, I was kind of tweeting out updates for people and asking for different people who follow me's opinions on players I was signing, how much would you pay for this guy, that kind of stuff. So if you want to kind of really have an active role in the save, if you follow me on Twitter, you can help out and kind of contribute. So without further ado, let's get straight into the transfer centre. As I said, be aware there are a lot of changes and a lot of money being spent and a lot of money being thrown here, there and everywhere. The reason for this being is I need to rebuild the squad. After not qualifying for Europe last year, I haven't got the finances to offer players hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, and I still think the biggest wage of a player is £67,000, which isn't that big for a team finishing in the top half of the Premier League. I did also ask for a ground expansion as always, got rejected again, so we're still sharing with Bury, despite being the 11th richest club in the world. So anyway, let's have a look at this transfer history, and holy crap, Jack, you spent £134 million and sold £118 million worth of players. I did, guys. The main reason behind this was really adding some quality youth and building a squad for the future. So this is going to take a little while to explain, but I really hope that you kind of look on and take on board the kind of transfers I'm doing, because you will see that we are making a lot of money, and I feel as if the investments I've made, although some of them perhaps I overpaid for players, I needed players of their calibre, and it's nice to have them at the club. So anyway, on the outs, first we have Shane Barney going to Southampton for £6.25 million. He scored 2 hat-tricks in their first 2 league games of the season. That is typical FM. But, you know, that's more goals than he scored last year for us in 9 games. But I still feel like £6.25 million is a decent little kind of amount of money for him. Obviously, I probably could have got a lot more than that a few years ago when he really was in his prime. Last few seasons, he's really fizzled out. He's only scored 23 goals. Across 70 games in the last season, so that really gives you an idea of kind of his performance level last few years. It was time for him to move on, got a little bit of money for him, which was nice. Next transfer, Jorian Farias. His contract was running out at the end of the season, kind of the end of the next season, so he had 12 months left on his deal. He had a release fee of £22.5 million, sold him to West Ham. They were willing to pay the release fee clause, and a nice little bit of money there, almost doubling my money on what I got for him just 3 years ago. So, I mean, obviously he's been a very solid player for us, and he has left a little bit of a void in the first team, which I've struggled to fill, but in terms of sheer money making, it was a very good transfer for us. We next have Jorge Benitez. Obviously, he's been a quality player for us for a number of years, and I got £40 million for him off Real Madrid. A lot of clubs coming in for this guy. Real Madrid offered the most, along with Chelsea. I didn't want to sell him to Chelsea, so I let Real Madrid have him. Obviously, he came for £12.275 million 3 years ago. He's been the first team regular centre-back for a number of years, but to now sell him on for £40 million, I mean, that's a shrewd bit of business. Obviously, he is a world-class centre-back and impossible to fill the place of, but at that kind of money, you can't really say no. Next player is Adel Courtois. With me changing my formation, and you'll see this coming up, I've changed to a 4-4-2. Just a little bit more kind of simpler, I suppose. I've never used a 4-4-2 on FM13 successfully, but I really wanted to give it a shot, obviously with the disappointment that was last year. But here we have Courtois, who just didn't fit into the system anymore. I mean, he's made a number of appearances over the last 2 seasons and played well, but I sold him on for £9 million to Newcastle. A little bit of a loss on this guy in terms of the transfers, but £9 million is still a very solid amount of money to receive for a player, and very good. We then have Takashi Natsui, who's gone to FC Copenhagen. He's always been a fringe player for us. He came in on a free. He's gone out for £2.5 million. Only made a handful of appearances really for us across 3 seasons. So I'm pretty happy just to get any kind of money for it. Next player, David McCallum, gone out on loan. Can't sell him. I've been trying to sell him for a number of years. 2 years left on his deal. His contract's just going to be running out. And yeah, I can't get rid of this guy no matter what I do, it feels. Next player we have is Troy Warne, the American player. This guy, he just doesn't fit the system. With me switching to a 4-4-2, I don't have a need for the sheer quantity of attacking kind of midfielders that I had. And so I have kind of offloaded a number, and I feel as if to get, $5 million for this guy, considering he came in for 6.75 million, perhaps a little bit of a disappointment. He only made 4 appearances last year, and I've managed to sell him to a rival in Bayer Leverkusen, who really aren't going to be kind of a threat or an issue for me in the future. So I feel as if that's a really good little bit of business. We next have Musavi Akbar, or Akbar Musavi even, right back, backup player for a number of years. He came for 675k from Malavan in Iran in 2018. Obviously, now selling him on for 6 million. That's a times 10 profit on a player. He's been a very good player for us for a number of years. Last year, he only made 10 appearances. You know, when you've got a player who's only made 10 appearances, who really doesn't have that much youth about him anymore and isn't really going to improve, it's nice just to be able to cash in on him and get some money. So I was very happy with the amount of money we got for him. And I feel like as if that's a good deal. Adrian Gill's gone out on loan to Bradford again. This guy doesn't look like he's going to develop how I was hoping he would, but you never know. Yeah, send him out on loan, see if he can do something there. We then have Francisco on loan at Cambridge. Very good kind of forward stats, this guy, although he doesn't really have a lot else. So I'm hoping that he's going to develop there. Hopefully he'll get a lot of first team football. And, you know, he's making appearances for them. That's the main thing. And yeah, well, one of those kind of deals where it's a case of trying to get a player who's not even going to be starting in the kind of reserve team a chance to go out on loan from the youth team and see if he can do anything. Another one of these kind of players is Raniero, who's on loan at Blackpool. I feel as if this is a really good move for him. Blackpool are a championship side, and so he's going to get a lot of first team football there, I believe. He's 18, he's a very solid all-round striker, this guy, but he's the kind of player who needs first-team football. He needs to be scoring goals to improve. So Blackpool's a very good move for him, I believe. Next transfer is Reginaldo, gone out to AC Milan. Obviously, this guy came in January, just 6 months ago, or 9 months ago now, I guess, technically. But we've sold him on for a lot of money, £24 million. He did get £3 million of that himself in his sell-on fee, but to get £21 million for a player who played at the club for half a season and scored 6 goals in 16 games, really didn't kind of settle into the squad too well. I kind of feel like that's a really good bit of business. He's gone to Milan, so they're not going to be a rival in terms of the league. Whether or not that bites me back in Europe in the future, only time will tell. We then have Chukwuemeka. He's gone out for a few £1 million to Stoke. This guy was a really solid backup player for a number of years for us. If I just show you his career appearances last year. But in terms of kind of with my change of system and also getting a lot of free centre mids in Bosman deals on frees, it made sense to just sell him while I could. I mean, he's ageing a little bit now. He's hit 30. He's a very good player, and I do recommend him if you're playing FM because he's a good, solid all-round player. But for me, he's not the best centre mid in the team anymore, and he really would be the backup of all backup. So he was originally relegated to my reserves, but then I just thought, you know what, we might as well cash in on him before he starts getting a little bit too old. So £2 million, although that's not a lot of money for him, all things considering, it's still a nice little bit of business. A few players went out on loan to other championship teams, which I'm not going to cover. Felipe Mendes has gone out to Watford in League One. Mendes is the really solid young goalkeeper. Watford are in League One, but he is their first choice keeper for the year, which is going to be good. And then a lot of reserve players going out on frees. And now we move into the big boy stuff. £134 million spent on these players. A few of these players I have overspent on. It is important to remember that because I didn't qualify for Europe, it was hard for me to attract the very best players. And for that reason, sometimes I had to overpay for players who weren't quite as good as players who I couldn't attract. So the first player we have here is Roman Fomin. He is a Russian centre-back, 18 years old. This guy's a real raw talent, 18 determination, of course, really key. Solid physicals. His technicals could do with a little bit of work, but that's something that can be worked on with time. 7 caps for Russia at the age of 18. I mean, that really speaks for itself, if you ask me. Solid player for the future. Made 15 appearances last year in Russia as well, so he has been getting first-team football, which is key for his development. We then have a few more young players coming in. Nils Moore here, 16-year-old, a little bit of potential about him. His report doesn't really suggest that, although my scouting report was very different to that, so that's a little bit of a disappointment, I suppose. DJ Watson here, I mean, what a name that is for a start. That's a beautiful name, but 16 years old, really solid centre-back. Going to be getting him tutored shortly. But as you can see, he's a solid centre-back. He's 16 and he's English, which is another thing I've tried to do this year, getting English players. We have Simon Bloss here, another English player. This guy, again, another player who my scout said was going to be amazing and now I'm not so sure about, but he's English. We'll give him a shot. He's come in for fairly cheap in the grand scheme of things, 350k. So one of those ones for the future. We have Cal Bird, who's a goalkeeper from Birmingham. Again, another English player who probably won't develop, and I'm not sure why I signed him. It might have been to do with regen day, but at the end of the day, £500,000, considering the sheer amount of money that I had following some of these sales, isn't a huge loss in the end. We then have Sergio Smith, and this is a funny one because you'll be like, Jack, why the hell did you sign this guy? But when Jorge Benitez was at the club, he went through a period of unhappiness, as we all know, and so I thought, to keep Benitez happy, and so he might consider taking a new deal, I'll sign a load of players on his agent's books and give him massive agent fees, and he might want to stay, which did work. But the problem was that Benitez wanted £120,000 a week. So this is one of the players who has the same agent as Benitez. He has nothing about him, guys. He's never going to play. He'll probably get released at the end of the year. So that's that. That's the end of the kind of the derpy transfers, I suppose. So let's get into the nitty-gritty stuff. We have Eduardo Di Sabda. This guy, or Sabata? Yeah, we'll go with Sabata. That sounds Italian. Hey, Sabata. It sounds like a type of bread. Okay, this guy's a really good right mid. Switching to a 4-4-2, I didn't have any natural right midfielders. This guy will be first choice right mid this year. He doesn't have the greatest stats, but he's got 5-star potential. He's currently playing in the Italian first team, although he's yet to make an appearance for them. He's a solid player, he really is. I can't stress how excited I am by him. He's going to be getting a lot of first team football, which is really going to help his development. His determination isn't great, but his technicals are really strong, his physicals are really strong, his mentals need a little bit of work, but that will come with time. And I mean, looking at his raw kind of speed and physical ability, he's got that, he's got the creative and attacking elements, and he also has some really nice technical stats. And I mean, 16 crossings is going to be incredibly useful when he's bombing it down the wing. So alongside him on the right wing, we needed a new right back. Obviously, I've been playing Glenn Stewart at right back for a number of years, but no disrespect to Glenn, he's not the natural right back that the team needed, and I've been eyeing up this guy for a while. This is Alexander Nazarov. This guy, really strong player. He's a 19-year-old right back for the Russian national team. He's come in for £20 million, which is not cheap, but considering some of the sales that we made, I was able to bring in this player. I mean, he's a 3-star player right now and a 5-star potential. He's on really low wages. He's on a 5-year deal. Really solid player for us. I'm looking forward to seeing what this guy can do in the coming years. And he's one of these kind of long-term investment players where he comes in now, he's going to be around for a long time. We then have Romario Kozuk's really strong right wing back, another young player, not necessarily the raw talent of Nazarov, but a player who could be a solid backup for years to come and will certainly make us some money in the long term. I mean, he's only 18, bags of potential, really strong physicals. Mentals are not that great, but he's got the core there of a good player at least. We then have Amani Tarek, free transfer, centre-back, backup. What more is there to say? Good little player, low wages. So we then have Francesco Augustine. I don't know. We'll go with that. Really solid centre-back. Young, perhaps the next Jorge Benitez. 16 determination. If he can get his physicals and speed up and his mentals up, going to be a solid centre-back for the future, I'm sure. He's only just turned 18, so he is a very strong young player. I feel as if he's better suited to the centre-back role rather than the right-back, so it'll be interesting to see how he develops in the next few years. The next player coming in for £4.6 million is Obren Ranjic, who is a Serbian left-back. 2 caps at international level. He's only just turned 17. This player, loads of potential. Perhaps lacks the technical elements that a left-back and defensive player should have, but his raw pace leaves him in very good stead. Physicals are a stat that's easy to improve, but when a player's young, I find it better to focus on their kind of technicals and their mental stats, so I'm always looking for solid physicals, and this guy certainly has that. And he also has kind of some basic talent there, which is good. 5-star potential, 17 years old. I'm going to try and bed him into the first team from a very young age and hopefully get him kind of forging a partnership in a new, more solid back four. We then come on to the 2 big Bosmans of the window. We have here Wim Kirkov, who is a very solid centre mid. As you can see, this is the kind of player who is forcing the likes of Courtois and Chukwuemeka out. Really solid stats all the way around. His 16 creativity and 16 passing really stands out to me. Physicals are absolutely insane. Solid mentals. Technicals, meh, not amazing. But he's a backup centre mid at the end of the day. And he's a very good player at doing just that. Alongside him we have our other backup, who has one hell of a name. We have here Elmedi El Jahouli. What a name. What a name. He's Belgium. He's from... where did he come from? I think he came from Atlanta. Yeah, Atlanta. Atalanta even. I apologise. Atlanta's a place in America, Jack. Wake up. It is 1 o'clock, guys, and I've only been up for half an hour. Bear with me. But no, this guy's really solid. As you can see, he's played in the first team for a number of years at Atalanta. He's a solid player, and I feel as if he's a really good kind of backup centre mid who's got a little bit of a bright future ahead of him. 30 caps for Belgium as well. Not the craziest wages either, which is really nice to see. And finally, guys, we come to Gary Quirk, someone who is English. I know you guys are just like, Jack, you signed someone who's English. I did, guys. All be proud of me here. He cost me £15 million on his release clause, but this guy, look at that scoring record for England. That's all I'm going to say. 7 goals in 7 appearances. He can also play right mid, although he's forgotten how to play it. Let me get him... Oh, okay, I have already done that. He can play right mid as well, which gives us a nice little bit of coverage. He's going to be third choice striker this year, but that scoring record at international level is insane. He cost me £15 million, but 2 years ago in the Championship he scored 32 goals in 46 games, and last year in the league he scored 17 goals in 37 games for Everton, who went down that season. So I mean, to get 17 goals for a team who get relegated is absolutely insane. And then his scoring record across all kind of league appearances of his career is really solid as well. Happy to have this guy at the club. £15 million might seem really steep, but he is a really kind of strong future player for England as a whole, I guess. The next player is Rico Francis. Just turned 16. He was 15 at the time of signing him. This guy, 221 appearances for England at the age of 15. I've brought him for £3.8 million, but guys, he is a hot prospect. Keep your eye on this guy. Certainly one to watch out for in the future. We then have Sulembane Koulibaly. Yeah, we'll go with that. That's one hell of a name. This guy, okay, so he cost me... How much did he cost me? £15 million. You've got to remember, I sold Reginaldo for £24 million, and I kind of needed that goal scorer to replace him. Last year, Reginaldo really didn't bang in the goals I needed him to, and Barney wasn't either when I called upon him. When we switch into 2 up top, I needed to bring in some new goal scorers. We obviously already have Barbosa, and I've just showed you Gary Quirk, but I wanted one out-and-out poacher, and this guy, Koulibaly, is absolutely insane. If I just highlight key attributes for poacher, I mean, look at that. That's ridiculous. The things that stand out to me are the 19 finishing, 18 composure, and 19 off the ball. I triggered his release clause, which was the 15.25 million. He hasn't got the craziest goal scoring record at kind of competition level for Fiorentina, but still, he's averaged a rating above 7 for the past 4 years, and in total he's scored, 61 goals in 4 years, which isn't really that bad. That's like 15 goals a season in the league, which, if you ask me, that's a pretty decent scoring record. So he's going to be the poacher this year. He's the player who I'm looking to bang in the goals. So hopefully he can do that job for us. We next have Luis Fernando Ricci, just a backup right back. I didn't have the squad depth that I wanted. Got him in on loan. Low wages from Italy. Solid little player. Good backup. We then have Vladimir Silkin, we'll go with that. This guy played for us last year on loan. He's come back for another loan spell. He's come for £1.2 million on loan. Really solid little left back, this guy. He's going to be kind of battling in and around the left back position with Ranjic, the really young left back. I kind of want to give Ranjic his time in the first team because he is kind of the long-term player here to play the left back position, but I did want a backup player who could be called upon if I don't know if Ranjic's got injured or if he's struggling or if we just need to rotate for whatever reason. So he was a good little transfer. And then on transfer deadline day, I really had to think about things because I was sat there thinking, my defence is a little bit open and I still have £40-odd million left to spend. So, in light of this, I made two very bold signings. The first one here is David Gauffier, who is a French centre-back. Reason for signing this guy is I was looking for a new centre-back, one who was going to oust Glenn Stewart from the team. And although this guy isn't really a step up from Glenn Stewart, he is better than Glenn Stewart, don't get me wrong, but he's not leaps and bounds above him. He has 17 influence at the age of 21. This guy could be the captain for a number of years. Barbosa's another very influential player at the club, as too is Gary Quirk, the guy who I signed from Everton. So I've got a few more influential players in the side now. Something that I really wanted to add after last year. Obviously, when you're building a very young squad, you do need those guys who are really going to lead the way, and we now have a few of them in the squad, but this guy certainly adds to that collection. He's made a lot of appearances from a very young age for Marseille, come for £12 million, which isn't cheap, but certainly a really good player for us. And the final position to improve was the goalkeeper. And I know someone's going to be like, how much did I spend on this guy? I spent £25 million on a goalkeeper. On my save, for whatever reason, there are no decent goalkeepers, and that's no exaggeration. People were always telling me, replace Josimar, he's terrible. I've been looking for a replacement for Josimar for a number of years, and I just couldn't find one. In the end, this guy, Pavlenko, came about. He was... he's kind of second fiddle to Koval at Dynamo. Is it Dynamo Kiev? Yeah, and he's played a few appearances for them across the years. But I needed a goalkeeper, so I've brought this guy in. £25 million is a steep price to pay, but he is one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and he's one of the best young goalkeepers in the world. He's 22, so this guy's the kind of player who could play at the club for a number of years. Wages aren't too steep, which is good, and solid player all the way around. So, obviously, that's quite a lot to take in. So, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what I consider to be the strongest starting 11. Considering those signings, our new players. Obviously, it's episode 90, so I'm trying to make things a little bit special, although there really isn't that much going on. If you've stuck until this point and listened to me ramble about the transfers, also, cheeky thank you. And I know that was a lot to take in. So anyway, in goal we have Pavlenko, the guy who I just covered, Ukrainian goalkeeper, solid all-round stats, makes up what is one of four of our new back five defensive players, including the goalkeeper. Solid player, 5-year deal, one for the future. Right back, we have Alexander Nazarov, Russian right back, a young player, technically brilliant, defensively could be better, but he's 19, bags of potential, 5-star in fact, Russian international, and a very good all-round player. We then have David Gauffier, the French centre-back, really solid all-round player. Good mentals, good technicals, good physicals. He's 21, solid player, going to be a leader from the back, a bossy player in the back line. He's on a 5-year deal as well. He's travelling to join the international squad. He's a really solid player and one certainly to look out for in the future, and he's going to be vital in our defensive line in kind of bossing the line. Alongside him we have long-term club servant Pablo. The Brazilian centre-back is a superb player, good all-round stats. He's got 4 years left on his contract. This guy, he's been great. He's been at the club now for, 4 years. This will be his 4th season. And he's made in excess of 83 appearances across that time. At left back we have Obren Ranjic, the left back Serbian. Technically not the best player, but at his young age, I really want to get him playing first team football. Considering that we're not really in too many major competitions, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for this guy to play. I feel as if the lack of fixture congestion that's brought with kind of being in Europe, playing lots of midweek games, kind of not having that burden is going to be beneficial to the squad this year as we really try and push for a Europa League spot. So he's a good player there. Right mid even we have Eduardo Di Sabata, Italian right mid, really solid player. With the Italian national side, although he's yet to get a cap, he's kind of like the regen El Shaarawy, I want to say. Or should I say new gen? People get really ballsy when you say regen over new gen. I just call them regens. You get mad, kids. But no, came in for £22 million, a big signing. But I mean, he's got a bright future away, kind of with the club. In centre mid, we run with Bocau and Samper in our 4-4-2. Bocau, of course, the attacking playmaker player, solid all-round stats. The beast from the east. His contract runs out in 2 years, which is a little bit of a concern. So I'm looking to renew it at the moment, but it's kind of hard negotiating at the moment, I guess. Alongside him we have Sergio Samper, the defensive Xavi Alonso, the team, the player who wins the ball in the centre, then pings it to where it's needed further up the field with his insane creativity. Love this player so much. His one heading is a standout stat to me. But no, he's a really good player, and he's 28, so he's one of the oldest players in the starting 11. At left mid we go with Sheko, really solid winger for the team. Obviously came in last year, had a really solid first season, it has to be said. 32 games he played, 9 goals and 5 assists. This year I really want him to build upon this, adapt to English football that little bit more, and I guess up his game. Then up front we have Barbosa, club captain now. With Barney leaving, we have Barbosa as captain, Glenn Stewart as vice. This guy's been a really solid player for a number of years, and now it's his time to shine. He is the leading light of the club. He's 21. He's been at the club for 3 years. He's made great headway in those years in terms of performing well for the club, and now I'm really looking for him to make a difference up top, alongside Koulibaly, who is the Ivory Coast striker from Fiorentina. The poacher, the guy who he doesn't really do a lot. He's the Michael Owen of the team, the Jordan Rhodes. He sits on the last man, finds the space, scores the goals that you need them. But he isn't going to be contributing creativity wise or getting back. He's just there to bang the ball home. So that is our squad. I'm not going to cover the reserves, but you guys can pause the screen now and have a look at kind of their star ratings and stuff. If it's something that really tickles your pickle, I don't know why that would tickle your pickle, but we'll go with it. So, as I said, you missed the first few games of the season, so just a quick little review of them. Won our first 2 league games, 2-0 against Stoke at home, 4-2 against Derby County, and then we got a 4-1 win against Wednesday with Koulibaly getting a hat-trick. Just looking at the overall shape of the squad, because you guys haven't seen this, we're just lining up with a 4-4-2. You can see on screen here exactly what makes it what it is. It's a really solid formation for us. And one that I feel as if it certainly works for us. Last year I kind of fiddled with really odd, kind of overly complicated formations. This year, back to basics, 4-4-2. Fullbacks, 2 playmakers at the centre in Samper and Bocau, really trying to play free-flowing attacking football. I feel as if the right mid and left mid position, which were problems last year, which prevented me from playing kind of regular midfielders over attacking midfielders, has now been solved. And we really have some nice squad depth. So anyway, league, just as it stands, we're 5th. We've got a game in hand on a few teams, but we've won our first 2 games, which is always good. But today we play West Ham, and West Ham are a very good team on this save. They've taken a lot of our former players, so it's going to be tough for us, but we will see what we can kind of throw at them today. My team is already selected. I'm looking forward to seeing what the team can do here. This is David Gauthier and Pavlenko's kind of first appearances for the club, so it's going to be interesting to see what they can do at the back. A few familiar faces you'll see here. Farias, Peltari's gone to West Ham as well. Ruddy's there, so there are a few players, long-term kind of players of this save. Of course, Peltari helped us out of League One, and Farias came and left just this year. So let's crack straight on into this game. It's going to be tough. A few more landmarks. Bocca needs 2 more goals to reach career goals. Glenn Stewart needs 3 more goals to reach 25 career goals. And no, this should be interesting. West Ham were a really good team last year. They've spent a lot of money this year, and the pressure is kind of on me, I guess, to deliver against them. So we will see what we can do here. I can't remember who I meant to ask for the tactics, who gives the best instructions. First world problems. It's not you, Messi. We'll go with State. You tell them what to do. Right, enjoy the match today. Let's go with that. And then midfield, passionate. There's a lot to come from you. And the same for you strikers. It's going to be interesting to see how we perform today. We're at home to West Ham. This is the kind of game that last year we would have lost without a shadow of a doubt. This year I want us to see what we can do with our new players. In our starting 11 we have 6 new players, so things are all change here. And Sabata, the Italian guy, making the run there. Good little effort by him, testing the keeper early on. But, Sabata, he's young, he hasn't got the best talent in the world, but he's one of these ones for the future, and that's kind of what I've gone for this year. I might have overpaid for some of these players, but I've really gone for players who have a future at the club rather than players who are going to make instant impacts. As we kind of now, I feel as if the squad didn't need strengthening too much. We just needed to kind of fill in the void of gaps where the players had gone and kind of build a little bit more depth and a little bit more kind of, I guess, strength in the youth players. And that's a goal for West Ham there. Rosic bursting forward. Keeper rushing out, just gets the ball knocked around him and misses it in the end. Really disappointing stuff there, though, to be behind after 27 minutes. As you can see, diving. Why would you diving header there, FM? Really? That's just rubbing salt in the wound. Not the greatest start ever, of course. You never want to concede within the first half, and it's always vital for you to get the first goal. But we've got a chance here. Bocca misses the ball at first attempt. Get it in. Don't let them hit us on the counter. That's all I ask. Bocca, bury that. Oh, he's hit the crossbar. Barbosa with the rebound hits the post. You mong. What are you doing? And now they could hit us on the break. It probably isn't going to happen, but no, my luck it might. Or are we going to score some crazy goal? Who knows? I don't even know what's happening anymore, guys. But no, obviously, last episode... Oh, it's offside. Last episode, I was really bummed out, kind of, I guess, with the whole situation. I ploughed through it. I actually really enjoyed doing all the summer transfers. I'm one of these people who likes a good old rebuild. I kind of felt on the back of the performances last year, maybe players' attitude's been a bit of a problem. For God's sake, that a rebuild was necessary. So, really trying to rebuild a squad for the future. My aim this year is a top 6 finish, which I feel is realistic, but we do have to win this kind of game. I think maybe part of this comes down to just a lack of gelling at the back. And kind of lack of, I guess, communication. Obviously, Pavlenko and the French centre-back Gauthier, new players making their debuts today. It's going to be tough for them. They don't have that kind of understanding with the likes of Pablo yet, and obviously the other 2, right back and left back, are new players as well. So there really isn't that understanding there. So defensively, we might be slightly frail. This is the kind of game where I would expect us to grab at least 1 goal. And it's going to be interesting to see if we can do that. But I feel as if it might take a little bit of time for these players to kind of gel. But once we get kind of off on a start, it should be kind of better long term for us. Just developing that understanding. You may have also noticed kind of the general pattern with transfers being that I've sold a lot of South Americans and tried to bring in European players. Obviously, selling Barney reduces bury that. Good finish, Echo. Really nicely worked goal. What I was going to say was, obviously, I've brought in a lot of European players. At the back, I think there's only one South American player, and that's Pablo, and then a lot of Europeans. It's something I have tried to do this year, bring in some European talent. Unfortunately, there's still a lack of English talent I can attract. Obviously, Quirk from Everton's a good little English signing, but selling Barney happened as well. Cullen Barley, bury that. Great finish, my son, showing exactly what I've brought him in to do. Use his pace, use his finishing prowess. Can we move up to first, apparently? Apparently that a point would be enough to move us into first, but good little pace by him, taking it round the keeper, tidy little finish. I've brought him in to score goals, and so far Cullen Barley is doing that for us, so that's good to see. Just going to tell the players to get the ball forward. But no, we're looking really solid here actually as a team, which is good to see. Good little comeback at the moment, and Sabata with space here, makes the effort, hits the post, hit the keeper's back. Good little effort from him, although he kind of had room to run with the ball there, but we've got a corner from it. Maybe something can come of it. Who knows? Ball in. It's going to get cleared. It's going to get cleared, but I don't know. Like 4-4-2, big change in the system. Throughout this save, I've always played kind of a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, kind of with only one lone forward. This year, I really have the prowess and kind of players to play a lot more up top, and we've got a last-minute chance here. Does get cleared. That's probably going to be the game, unless we can get the ball back in. Nah, that's it. I mean, 2-2, considering our poor performance first half, that's really good. Barbosa getting 2 assists. 2 goals was really good as well. Good overall performance by the team. We dominated in the second half, just created a lack of shots on target. Looking at the league table, we are top. We have played more games though, but unbeaten in our first 3 is good to see. Perhaps conceding 4 in 3 isn't great, but still, we've scored 8 in those 3, so it shows that this kind of formation is certainly seeing us get some goals, which is a main thing, because last year we really did struggle goal-wise. I mean, if I show you the table last year, we finished 8th in the end, and we only scored 69 goals in 38 games, which doesn't sound that bad on the face of it, but that's less than 2 goals a game, and that needed rectifying. So that's the reason for switching to kind of the 2 up front. But all in all, I've got a bit more motivation back to play this save. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this somewhat longer episode. I'm not sure when the next episode will be. It'll probably be Man U at the end of October. So that's 2 months away, but there aren't that many games in that time. So that seems like a pretty logical thing to do. Guys, as always, if you could give the video a like, helps me out. If you've got any comments with regards to the series, let me know, down in the comments and stuff, because I do read them. As I said before, thank you for your support on the last video. I was kind of losing momentum for this save. A few people told me to kind of stick it through summer, and that's what I did. And I ended up actually kind of enjoying it secretly inside, although I won't admit it. As I said as well, follow me on Twitter if you don't already. I have a Facebook page as well, and I know everyone has Facebook. So if you go down in the description, links are there. If you could like it and follow me and stuff. I keep you up to date with my FM progress over there. And other than that, guys, it is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.